I just got to see the NDP and the implementation of, which I think we're going to hear about in the afternoon, of data8, which is a course that's taught around the state, but I think came out of Berkeley originally. And that we're super excited to be a part of. So that's kind of where we see ourselves heading and how we see ourselves integrating with the NRP process and the NDP itself. I'm here to talk about a little bit about what we've done over the last 6 years in implementing data8, this course, to mostly articulated community colleges around the state, and what that took, some of the successes and challenges we've had, and then some other pieces we've branched out in as we did that. We have done that mostly through CloudBank, which I don't know if this community knows about CloudBank. A lot of people seem to know about it, and that's like with Shava and Frank over at SDSC in collaboration with Berkeley, and one other major university that I can't remember right now. And so a little bit shifting from what we've been doing here this morning. But I'm happy to kind of explore what this was like for us and what we've gotten out of it. So we have, I'm going to kind of reorient this. So it's been about 6 years that I've been working on this, and we have about 3,000 students this semester. Most of those are coming from California. Probably about 2,000 are community college students coming in each semester. So it builds across it. That was coming across 6 years in which we've had maybe a couple hundred when we first started. So we've seen a lot of interest and a lot of growth, and a lot of the support issues that come along with that have been super interesting to solve and a bit of a pain, but we've made our way through it. So we've got a couple high schools, including my own. We just started working with a lot of the CSUs on a kind of separate project that I can talk about a little bit. And we have, at this point, through NAIR, we've probably brought on about 7 more universities, colleges across the country. I don't think any one community college from New York. So I'll talk real quick about the infrastructure that we have been using. And that infrastructure has been, I had an extra slide in there. So what that has consisted of is CloudBank is run out of GCP, it's out of the Google Cloud Platform. It's a Jupyter Hub Kubernetes environment for anybody who cares. And that has been mostly administered by 2I2C, which is a nonprofit that spun out of Berkeley to distribute Jupyter Hubs. And some of the kind of pieces that have really worked, that we've developed over time, is getting ourselves to this point of no configuration. So we've abstracted away, of course, all the package management and all the pieces that our instructors would have had to handle in the past. So that's all out of there. Single sign-on is probably the biggest pain, has been the biggest pain, and is super important. So as soon as we walk into a school, especially the community colleges, that figuring out how we're going to do authentication usually takes some time. Sometimes it's super easy, sometimes it's a pain. I can talk a little bit more about that and how we've done that, but CI Logon, I know NRP uses, that's what we've used. A lot of the community colleges in California don't have their own shibboleth in common. They use Microsoft or Google as their IDPs, as their identity providers, and that comes with its own semi-hassle, and that you have to have an administrator on campus let them through. So that's been a bit of a challenge. We have a pretty even way to create a consistent environment. So we have a set of user images. We also have the ability for the college to create their own image if they would like to, so what the users are going to see when they log into the systems. And funded compute for the whole thing has helped bring all these colleges in, so they're not worrying about having to pay for it or how it will be paid. The user telemetry, we have some, but of course, it'd be great to get more on an education side to see how these things work. Not a lot of research or pieces have been done around that. So what are our user needs? So we're trying to minimize the steps to teach. So who are they that are coming to us? We have a lot of statistics and math professors, instructors at the community college level. Their computing skills vary quite widely. They have, most I would say, do not have the computing experience. And so extracting all those pieces away so they can just focus on the curriculum has been super important to getting them to adopt and like the system that they're using. Of course, no configuration, no package management, anything outside of like, hey, let me just figure out the data science-y stuff that we're doing and how to use Python or whatever language you're going to be in, and how to use Jupyter notebooks. those all become kind of the cognitive load going on for the instructors as they do it, let alone the students. So just on a quick technical level, every student gets a couple CPUs. We have 1 to 2 gigabytes of RAM set up for them. They have a Jupyter Lab environment, Jupyter Notebook environment. We have added in the in-browser VS Code environment called Codespaces, or it's called Codespaces in GitHub, but it's called Code on the open source side, and the RStudio in-browser open source distributed piece of software. So, and most of our community colleges are using, of course, the Jupyter Lab, Jupyter Notebook environment. A lot of the CSUs are using the RStudio environments. I don't know if that's just the communities we walked into and that's why, but that's been how that's rolled. These are the people who have helped us out, 2i2c. We use a bunch of GitHub Actions to help with the deployment, so it's very easy. I can deploy one of these for one of our colleges in a few minutes. I throw some configuration in, put it up in the, commit it into GitHub, get the PR going, and we have it up. So that's all been super, super easy to do. We use repo to Docker to build the images, so we can maintain probably 6 or 7 different images, as well as give the tools to some of the instructors to build their own if they're interested in learning. So that's been super successful. We talked about CI logon. I think one of the things that we back out of is sometimes we've had to go to GitHub authentication, which is a bit more of a pain, but it's been a way for us to get around some of the authentication issues that we've run into. Who are these people? So I'm just looking at our time here. So almost all of the community colleges, like I said, are data8 adopters. So, and we have some now coming on that are another course that's coming out of Berkeley called data6. They are statistics, math mostly. That when we get to the CSUs, we've ended up with a lot of statistics and computer science instructors that are teaching these courses. So we've kind of had 2 types of instructors. We've had they have a lot of experience that using browser-based computing, notebooks, this kind of thing. They're kind of the really easy people to support. They usually have a course already made up. They have all the materials, and they're just looking for a platform to work on that's not going to cost them money and not be a pain. So for some reason, the Google solution, that I won't say the name of, has been a problem for some of them. We've had a lot of people come across that. I don't understand quite why, but we've had a ton of the CSU professors coming away from those types of solutions. The instructor B is where all of our time goes, a lot of my time goes, is that they are really familiar with kind of unfamiliar with the whole chain. Like most of them have never heard of GitHub, most of them don't know Git. I'd say 90% of them, maybe we have 1 or 2 that has. They have a ton of experience teaching, they know their context, they know their domain. They're needing a lot of support to get over the edge on getting the browser-based computing, data science-y tools in place to do the teaching. So, the students, the solution, which I think people have different ideas around, but our solution has been to remove as much of the burden from the students as we can. So really what the students are focused on is how to use the packages and libraries and the context and data that we're providing them. So whether that's Pandas or the data science library, how to do the visualizations, how to run through simple algorithms. So they're not touching any Git. They don't know it's existing. They don't know how that's being distributed, how the notebooks are distributed. They're basically running a notebook, downloading it, turning it into their instructors. And that's been kind of the most efficient and smooth path that we could get to. So like I said, the experienced instructors, they're basically done. That's been an easy group. That's probably 1,000 of our users every semester. At this point, they're really kind of low-hanging fruit for the whole process. These new instructors, what we've done is set up basically a package that we're handing them. So we're handing them the data8 notebooks, which there's probably like 31 assignments going on, labs, projects, homeworks, and there's another 20 lecture notebooks that are available to them. We give them Canvas shells, so that turned out for the community college level to be like a huge game-winning moment when we figured out how to hand them a Canvas shell that was configured to their hub that we had deployed. So they're just uploading their module and getting all the different, week to week, it all set up, all the links. The other piece that we put in place was an automatic grading system, which I can show you in a second. But basically, I don't know what this community knows. If you guys have heard of AutoGrader, you guys could shake your heads or have no idea what I'm talking about. AutoGrader is was also made by a student at Berkeley, I'm pretty certain, that is marked down in a notebook that allows for both student self-checking in the work, and I can kind of show you if we don't screw anything up here. Let's see. Do I have one open? Maybe, yes. This is a solution notebook. This is a solution notebook, meaning the students wouldn't see all these prompts, but you get the idea. What the students see are, I think I have another one there, but that's all right, is they see these grader.checks. So there's a series of tests that are written via Markdown into a raw notebook, a master notebook, or however you want to talk about it. And then it's a piece of software that will generate the student version of that, which is all the answers ripped out, but all the tests sitting there. So when a student runs this cell, they'll see if their answer was correct or not. That is paired with another part of the system. I'm going to switch back. That is paired with another part of the system that allows for, well, maybe I can do, that allows for this. So then we can take this, the students usually turn in all their assignments into Canvas. The instructor comes in, downloads all the submissions. We give them the solutions file, and they can run it through this system and grade all the notebooks. Get a CSV, put that into Canvas, however they want to do that. So those two pieces, the Canvas shell and the auto grading, get a lot of very positive feedback from the instructors. I think it saves them a lot of time. We probably grade, I think the last time I looked, I can't figure out how to quickly go to full screen. It saves them a lot of time. I think last time I checked, the automatic grading system had graded like 15,000 notebooks or something like that this semester. So it just saves hours and hours of work going on for the instructors and how to grade them. What we don't have there at this point is like open-ended questions. We need like some LLM to help grade those for us. We haven't integrated that in yet. There's a lot of work going on, I'm sure, here at UCSD as well as Berkeley about how to do that. So I think eventually we'll get those kind of tools in there as well. Lecture slides, discussion slides, all these things. We basically can hand a package to the community college instructor, and we can get them up and running probably in an hour meeting it usually takes, sometimes a follow-up. The Canvas shell is what you would expect. It lays out everything. It has all the, I don't know if you guys know MB git puller links. I'm not sure what crowd I'm talking. Have you heard of MB git puller links? So what MB git puller links do is you make the link from GitHub into the notebook that you would like to open, and we can tailor it to the hub that we've deployed for the community college. So when the students click the link, the hub opens, they authenticate, and the notebook that they clicked on, let's say it was Lab 1, opens, and they can start working. So we can generate all those links and put them into the Canvas shell so that the instructor is just uploading the Canvas shell and the students are just going. So this has been kind of a key part of how we've got these pieces out there. So MB Git Puller is super important to what we're doing at this point. The downside is that it only works with Git, so we're working on updates to this piece of software so that we can pull from any public resource, whether it's Google Drive or Dropbox or wherever anything that's open. And it's backed by GitHub, which a lot of the professors don't know, as I said. So we're having to work through those kind of issues, but as long as we can keep everything abstracted away, we are in good shape. And we have, so I talked about it, we have like a couple minutes. I don't think I need to go. So, I think we're basically the last mile, right? In trying to bring these kind of courses at the community college level, at least, is that it takes kind of a bit of hand-holding. It usually takes about an hour meeting on my part and a set of resources that are well curated for them to get going. And then things seem to work out pretty well, and we can keep people pretty happy. So I think I can end there. We have like 2 minutes left. Yeah, a lot of this. Yeah, good. I was almost there. So I'll end right here. So, one of the things that we've tried to do, so that's a lot of the successes. One of the things we've tried to do is empower the instructors to make their own notebooks or to design their own lessons. And that has actually been fairly difficult to pull off. We have a national workshop that we do every summer. We've held both online and in-person kind of training sessions. And it just turns out that making the notebooks is not as simple. Making and distributing the notebooks, there's just a lot of pieces in the chain of things that go on to make that work. That takes a lot more training than we'd be able to do. So it seems kind of critical that we figure out how to do this, to develop other courses, whether it's notebooks or other browser-based type systems, that we try to figure out how to empower the instructors to make their own materials so that we can keep distributing these widely. So I think I'll stop there.
Thank you, Sean. I have only about 1 million questions, which I'm going to pepper you with over lunch. But before we go to lunch, I would like to invite anyone up to the mics that has questions they'd like to ask now.
The 3,000 students per semester, how many instructors are that?
So that's probably 40 instructors. It's probably a little more than that. So it's probably 40 community college instructors and like 15 CSU, other types of instructors.
So basically 55
50 instructors. Yeah, that actually makes sense to me because we have about 55 institutions, so it's probably a little more than that.
So let's call it 60 human beings you get to deal
60.
with.
Yeah.
You get to deal with every semester.
Every semester. No, I usually deal with them once, and they usually roll. They move forward. I guess when I have to deal with them is when they run into problems, and almost all the problems happen when they're trying to grade notebooks. And sometimes we have infrastructure issues, but we have other people that deal with that, but those are pretty rare as well. But a lot of the problems, a lot of the support is that they're trying to grade notebooks and something goes wrong. Like student puts in an infinite loop and they didn't quite see it. These kind of typical things that happen, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How I understand, the need and the workflow and everything, but a question that gets raised in my mind is, what kind of address do you have to make to the instructors and the people who are grading these homeworks with regard to FERPA and protection of the student data? It's not FERPA covered, but once it gets a grade, then it becomes, protected academic records.
So I assume you're talking on the grading side, or are you talking
on the grading
Jupyter
side?
Hub
Yeah.
On the grading side, yeah. Okay. So there's a couple of different pieces there. One, that we're not storing that data in any way. So the notebook is named by Canvas, which usually has...
Which is FERPA covered.
Yeah, but usually has a username, so there is identifiable something there, but it is FERPA covered. And when it runs through the system, it pumps out a CSV file that's downloaded by the instructor, and then all that's deleted off the server, so we're not storing anything. We're not like a grade book per se.
Okay, so you're situating the FERPA risk properly where it should be in the school. Yeah, okay.
And I got that idea from Jupyter Hub in that we don't actually ask for any user information. All we do is provide the authentication. So we don't have any databases of users going on that we have to maintain.
Yeah, smart.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no. You can just go for it. I'll repeat it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. One of the issues is the computer science teachers are now, and those type of notebooks, especially for the assignments. I think the things like AI, like even OpenClaw, just without even doing anything, can just make it work and finish the job and then upload to whichever GitHub or somewhere, right? Looks like that type of things, did it come up while you were in a training? And if it came up, like what's your suggestion? What are the things that resolve those kind of issues?
Meaning that students are using ChatGPT or OpenClaw to do the homeworks themselves.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it definitely has come up, and it was actually coming up before the AI piece or the LLM piece. It was, and we had one professor at Laney, redo all the notebooks because they were worried that the Berkeley notebooks that we're giving them were out there in the world. I actually never found them, and my daughter goes to Riverside actually, and I said, hey, can you find these notebooks? How do you guys find this stuff? And I could never actually find the answers out there. So one solution has been to do a lot of work and try to redo the notebooks, which doesn't feel sustainable. And it actually was kind of a disaster of a process. It was pretty hard. They've had a lot of problems at Berkeley, so we haven't heard so much about it through our systems, but we've heard a lot about it through Berkeley. And I think their solution has been to lower the amount of points that they're worth for the grade, and do the kind of testing that we've always done, the kind of robust testing that we've always done in assessment. So I don't know if that's an answer to your question, but I know that's how people are kind of reacting to it. I can tell you, one thing I can tell you my own experience in teaching high school, and of course it's a super huge issue, is that I haven't found the students, I should rephrase that. I found 2 students who have relied on these kind of ChatGPT, these kind of systems too much to where they had no idea what they were doing. And that most of the students have actually used it quite well. That said, like all my testing, we do on paper and this kind of thing. So that's still in there. So it's a huge, huge issue, but it hasn't taken me down yet.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Sean. Thank you for your presentation. I'm Sarvani from University of California, Merced. I want to share my appreciation for the work that you have done with our instructors as we were building our data science program, and for working with our systems engineer as we were building out this platform. So thank you and appreciate the talk.
Yeah. I love Sai. Sai's always slacking me.